Thank you, Alexander. Esther Baracka, Hungarian television. Last week, the Hungarian authorities arrested a supposed terrorist who is a high-ranking official of the Islamic State. He is now under investigation, and the investigation revealed that he received refugee status in Greece and he was granted an anonymous bank card to cover his expenses. I have two questions. First, what is the Commission's position on the work of the Greek authorities who granted protection to a supposed terrorist? And secondly, I wonder whether you insist your previous position that these bank cards are safe and cannot get into terrorists' hands. Thank you.
Yes, Natasha will be able to set a few things straight here.
Yes, hi. So the Commission has no role in what is an ongoing national investigation, nor are we in any position to verify any of the information in relation to this case. So we would refer you in a first instance to the Hungarian authorities who are responsible for this investigation. More generally, on the program that is funded by the European Union and run by the UNHCR to provide beneficiaries of international protection with prepaid debit cards, we have no information as to whether the individual in question was enrolled in this program or not. But in any case, these cards do not allow for cash withdrawals, are limited to use in the country in question, so in Greece, and they are not anonymous either. We know who the beneficiaries are, and that information would have been available to the Greek authorities, as each card includes a reference to the identity of the beneficiary and is checked on a monthly basis to make sure that the right people are using these cards.
Thank you, Natasha. Is there a follow-up or some other question for Natasha? Yes, please.
From also Hungary, Hungarian news television, and I would like to know, can we say that this might be a wake-up call for you, that a high-ranking ISIS fighter is under investigation, accusing of killing 20 people, and what my colleague said, that he had bank cards, he got this status in a refugee camp, so can you say that it's you go further and tighten your security measurements?
As I said, I cannot comment on the individual case, as it's not we're not involved in, and we do not have the information to be able to speak with any authority on it. That would be the Hungarian authorities. More generally, both the management of the refugee crisis and the fight against terrorism and ensuring the security of all EU citizens have been absolute priorities for this Commission, particularly over the last few years, which is why, and this has been reflected, I think, in the numerous proposals and actions that we have carried out under both the European Agenda on Migration and the European Agenda on Security, and our work towards to build a genuine and effective security union. Notably, I would point you to the fact that every single person that arrives in the European Union goes through a series of security checks, and this was the whole purpose behind the setting up of the hotspot approach in countries of first entry, where we have the police, the European Border and Coast Guard, and Europol agents making sure that everyone who arrives does go through thorough security checks.
Okay, I think that was very clear. You have still a question for Natasha?
My name is Tibor Udvarhely from the Hungarian press also. The question is the role of the Greek asylum process in this case, I think. And we know that Greece has received lots of support from the Commission, from the European Union budget. My question is how the Commission monitors the spending of this money, and whether you are satisfied with which how Greece spends this money on the asylum procedure. Because in these cases, when we see that a terrorist suspect comes through the Greek system and receive refugee status, then I don't think we can be satisfied. Thank you.
I don't have the figures in front of me, but indeed the Commission has been supporting the Greek authorities in the management of the refugee crisis, both operationally and financially. Of course, all European funds are subject to strict monitoring, both by the European Parliament and the Court of Auditors, and all of the funding that we give to specific programs is thoroughly checked, and to this date we do not have any evidence that funds would have been misused in any way.
Okay, still for Natasha? Well.
Hello, thank you, Paula from Politico. I wanted to know, now that the mandate for Operation Sophia has been accepted and renewed, what does the Commission think of this outcome, and is it not for Natasha? For Maya?
Your question will be answered, but before we get to Sophia, Operation Sophia and Operation Maya, is there a question for Natasha? Because I saw some other hands. Yeah, Georgi.
It's for Natasha, but possibly more for you. You know, I have lived in a totalitarian country, and I'm really disturbed when the press room is used for governmental purposes. I'm sure you understand what I mean. Thank you.
Indeed, I think that is not for me, not for you. Look, the press room is open for accredited journalists. We take the questions that are put to us. It is for you to form an opinion about those questions, not for me. We're here to answer them, and you are there to interpret them. Thank you very much, Natasha. Let's switch to Maya.